If you're over 45 and you often feel tired, foggy, or low on energy, it might not be your age. It might not even be stress. It could be the sugar you're eating every single day, even the sugar you believe is healthy. Many people reach this stage of life assuming that fatigue is simply the price of getting older. They accept the slower mornings, the mid-afternoon crashes, the lack of motivation, and the stubborn weight that seems to appear out of nowhere. But in many cases, the real cause is not age at all. It is what the body has been processing repeatedly for years, quietly and constantly. Sugar is not just a sweet taste. It is a metabolic signal. It is a hormonal trigger. And over time, it can shape how your body stores energy, how your brain feels, and how your health unfolds in the next decade. Most people think sugar only means candy, desserts, soda, or ice cream. But sugar hides in places you might never suspect. It shows up in bread, pasta, breakfast cereals, granola, flavored yogurts, sauces, dressings, packaged soups, and fruit juices. It also hides behind labels that sound harmless, like natural, organic, low-fat, or heart-healthy. Many of those products replace fat with sugar or refined carbohydrates, and your body often responds the same way. Over time, this constant exposure quietly affects your energy, your mood, your weight, your sleep, your joints, and your long-term health. The problem is that it happens slowly, so people don't connect the dots. They think they are simply aging, when in reality they are living in a steady cycle of blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, and metabolic stress. What many people don't realize is how deeply sugar affects the body. And what happens when you stop eating it for just 30 days can be far more powerful than most expect, especially after the age of 45. When sugar enters your bloodstream, your body releases insulin to move that sugar into your cells. This happens every time you eat carbohydrates, especially refined ones. In small amounts, this is normal. Insulin is not the enemy. It is essential. The problem is frequency. When the body is triggered repeatedly, several times a day, every day, for years, the system begins to malfunction. Over time, insulin levels stay elevated for longer periods. Your cells become less responsive to insulin's signal, so your body produces even more insulin to compensate. This condition is called insulin resistance, and it is one of the strongest drivers behind fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, inflammation, and metabolic disease. It can also contribute to high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol patterns, fatty liver changes, and a higher risk of cardiovascular disease. The dangerous part is that insulin resistance often develops quietly. There is no sudden pain. There is no dramatic symptom that forces you to pay attention. Instead, you notice small changes. You feel tired even after a full night of sleep. You feel hungry sooner after meals. You feel less focused. You feel more irritable. You gain weight more easily, especially around the midsection. You may start waking up at night, and you may crave snacks more than you used to. Many people accept these changes as normal. They are common, but they are not always normal. But this reaction is not a sign that sugar was helping you. It is a sign that your body has been relying on it. Your system has been trained to run on quick fuel. When that fuel disappears, your body needs time to adapt, just like a car that has to switch fuel types. During this transition, your energy may drop temporarily. Your brain may feel slower. Your mood may fluctuate. You might feel more sensitive to stress. This is completely normal and usually lasts only a few days. It is the body recalibrating its metabolic machinery. Then something begins to change. As sugar intake stays low, insulin levels begin to fall. And once insulin starts falling, your body begins accessing stored fat for fuel. This is a major metabolic shift. Instead of relying on frequent glucose spikes, your body learns to produce steadier energy throughout the day. This is often when people notice that hunger becomes calmer. They no longer feel urgent cravings every few hours. Their appetite becomes more predictable. They begin to feel satisfied with real food instead of constantly hunting for snacks. Energy becomes more stable because it is no longer tied to a roller coaster of blood sugar. One of the most powerful changes happens in the brain. Sugar strongly stimulates dopamine, the chemical responsible for pleasure and reward. Dopamine is not bad. It is a normal part of motivation and learning. But sugar creates a strong, fast dopamine response, especially when consumed repeatedly in refined forms. Over time, the brain begins to expect this stimulation. The reward system becomes less sensitive, meaning you need more sugar to get the same effect. This is how cravings intensify, and this is why people often feel out of control around certain foods. It's not just habit, it's biology. Your brain learned a pattern. Stress equals sugar, boredom equals sugar, fatigue equals sugar, and sugar equals relief. When sugar is removed, dopamine sensitivity begins to reset. The brain slowly becomes responsive again to normal rewards like movement, accomplishment, connection, and real meals. Cravings weaken. Motivation improves. Emotional stability starts to return. Many people describe feeling calmer and more focused within the first week, and even more steady within 2 to 3 weeks. Another major change involves inflammation. High sugar intake promotes chronic inflammation throughout the body, including the brain. Chronic inflammation is not always visible, but it affects how you feel. It can contribute to joint stiffness, headaches, digestive discomfort, swelling, and mental fatigue. It can also make recovery from exercise slower and make sleep less restorative. When sugar is reduced, inflammation begins to decrease gradually. The body is no longer constantly reacting to repeated spikes. As inflammation drops, many people notice their joints feel better, they feel less puffy, digestion becomes smoother, their mind feels clearer. They may wake up with less stiffness and more ease in their movement. Blood sugar stability improves dramatically as well. Instead of sharp spikes followed by crashes, your energy becomes steadier throughout the day. This is often when people notice that the afternoon crash disappears. They stop feeling like they need coffee, sweets, or snacks just to get through the second half of the day. As insulin levels continue to decline, fat cells begin releasing stored energy more efficiently. This is one reason weight loss often begins naturally, even without counting calories. You are no longer locked in a hormonal state that forces your body to store energy. Instead, your body becomes more flexible and can use stored fuel when it needs to. This metabolic shift also benefits the brain in a powerful way. When glucose becomes less available, the body produces ketones, which are an efficient fuel source for the brain. Ketones provide stable energy. They do not create the same crash pattern as glucose spikes. Many people notice better focus, clearer thinking, and improved memory during this phase, often within 2 to 3 weeks. Now, there is another key player that becomes important after 45. It's called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF supports brain repair, learning, and long-term cognitive resilience. Think of it as a growth and maintenance signal for the brain. Higher BDNF is associated with better mental performance and a lower risk of age-related decline. High sugar intake suppresses BDNF. Movement, exercise, quality sleep, and reduced sugar can increase it. As BDNF rises, the brain becomes more resilient. It becomes better at forming new connections, regulating emotions, and resisting the slow decline that many people assume is inevitable with age. This is especially important after the age of 45 because the brain becomes more sensitive to lifestyle factors. The choices you make now have a stronger effect on how you think and feel later. Supporting BDNF is not about chasing a perfect brain. It's about protecting your ability to focus, remember, and stay mentally sharp as life moves forward. This is especially important after the age of 45 because the brain becomes more sensitive to lifestyle factors. The choices you make now have a stronger effect on how you think and feel later. Supporting BDNF is not about chasing a perfect brain. It's about protecting your ability to focus, remember, and stay mentally sharp as life moves forward. Over time, many people notice changes in appetite. Hunger becomes more predictable. Cravings lose intensity. Meals feel more satisfying even with smaller portions. This often surprises people because they assume they will feel deprived without sugar. But when insulin and blood sugar stabilize, the body stops sending emergency hunger signals that are really just glucose withdrawal signals. Taste perception also changes. Foods that once seemed bland begin to taste richer. Natural flavors become more noticeable. Fruit tastes sweeter. Nuts taste more complex. Simple meals feel more satisfying. Many people are shocked by what happens when they try a dessert after several weeks without sugar. It often tastes overwhelmingly sweet. Sometimes it even feels unpleasant. That's not willpower. That's recalibration. By the end of 30 days, the body is operating very differently. Blood sugar is more stable. Inflammation is lower. Energy is steadier. Sleep quality often improves. Many people report waking up more refreshed, with less heaviness and less stiffness in the morning. Sleep is a huge part of this story. When blood sugar rises and falls during the night, it can disrupt sleep without you realizing why. Some people wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. feeling alert, restless, or anxious. In many cases, this is tied to blood sugar instability and stress hormones. As sugar intake decreases, the body becomes more stable, and sleep can become deeper and more restorative. Blood markers often improve as well. Triglycerides tend to drop. Insulin sensitivity improves. Fat accumulation in the liver can begin to reverse. Even blood pressure may improve for some people, especially when inflammation decreases and the body is no longer under constant metabolic stress. These changes reduce the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, and metabolic disorders that become more common with age. But beyond lab values, the practical change is this: you feel more capable. You feel more steady. You stop living in a cycle of cravings and crashes. Perhaps the most powerful change is psychological. People feel more in control of their choices. Food no longer dominates their thoughts. Confidence begins to return. They realize that cravings were not their personality and fatigue was not their destiny. It was a system issue, and systems can be changed. Now, this doesn't mean sugar must be avoided forever. The deeper message is awareness. Once you understand how sugar affects your body, you stop consuming it blindly. You stop letting marketing decide what goes into your bloodstream. You begin making decisions based on how you want to feel tomorrow, not just how something tastes today. If you are over 45 and looking for one of the most effective ways to improve your health, reducing sugar is one of the most powerful steps you can take. Not because sugar is evil, but because your body changes with age. What you tolerated at 25 may quietly drain you at 50. Your body has an incredible ability to heal when you give it the right conditions. Sometimes, the most powerful change begins with removing just one thing, long enough for your system to reset and for you to feel the difference. So, if you've been feeling tired, foggy, or less like yourself, consider this experiment. Give your body 30 days without the constant sugar spikes. Let your metabolism stabilize. Let your brain reset its reward system. Let inflammation fall. Then pay attention to how you feel. And if you want to continue learning how to protect your energy, your mind, and your health as you age, make sure to watch the next video, because the choices you make today shape the strength, clarity, and independence you'll have tomorrow.